Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Second lecture of elementary surveying, named as Surveying Mathematics. In this lecture, we shall revise all the basic mathematical and physical concepts that we have already studied in metric and FSEs. In this lecture, the basic calculations of trigonometry are involved. So let us start. First of all, these are some of the common units that will be used in surveying. 1 meter equal to 3.28 feet. 1 feet is equal to 12 inches. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. 1 mile is equal to 5280 feet, and so on. Similarly, one canal is equal to 12 marla, sorry, 20 marla. 1 marla equal to 270 square feet. The square feet in a single marla can be varied in different regions. Okay, in Multan normally it is 270 square feet, while in Lahore it is 240 square feet that make one marla. Next is the significant figures. 854.85. How many decimal places are there? It contains two decimal places. Means after this full stop or after this point, there are two digits. So these two digits are known as significant figures. Decimal places. Okay. After point, the number of digits are known as decimal places. So in this particular example, 854.85, there are two decimal places, 8 and 5. So how many significant figures? Significant figures means the digits that cannot be ignored. All the digits are of some value. These are significant figures. It contains five significant figures. Okay. For example, two significant figures. In all these examples, there are two significant figures. 18 in this 1.8 means 1 and 8. Two digits are significant figures. Similarly, for 0.18, there are two significant figures. In this also, there are two significant figures. These are some of the terminologies that will be used in survey. Complementary angles, as you all already know about it, the sum of two angles if equal to 90 degrees, those two angles would be termed as complementary angles. If the sum of two angles come out to be 180 degrees, then the two angles are known as the supplementary angles. Acute angle and obtuse angle. The angle which is less than 90 degrees is known as acute angle, while greater than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees, the angle is known as obtuse angle. Perimeter. It is the sum of all the sides of a multi-sided figure. A polygon is a multi-sided figure. A triangle is a three-sided polygon. Rectangle is the four-sided polygon. Pentagon is the five-sided polygon. Okay, these are the examples. Okay, now regular shapes: quadrilateral, square, rhombus, rectangle, parallelogram, trapezium, and trapezoid. All these figures are four-sided figures. Okay, but geometrically they are different from each other. The difference should be known to you. You should remind their parameters and areas. Angles of a polygon. The angles inside a simple polygon are called interior angles. The sum of interior angles of a polygon is related to the number of sides by the following relationship. Sum of all the interior angles of a polygon is equal to n minus 2 into 180 degrees, and sum of exterior angles of a polygon is equal to 9 plus 2 into 180 degrees, where n is the number of sides of a polygon. For example, we want to calculate the summation of all the interior angles of a triangle. Triangle is also a polygon having multi-sides. So if we want to find the summation of interior angles of a triangle using this formula, as you know, triangle has three sides. So putting n is equal to 3, equation becomes 3 minus 2 into 180 degrees. 3 minus 2 equal to 1 into 180 degrees is equal to 1. So you already know that sum of all the angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. It can be verified by substituting all the values in this formula. There are different types of triangles. Isosceles triangle, in which these two inclined sides are equal. Hence, the included angles will also be equal. Equilateral triangle, which is having all the three sides equal, and hence all the three angles are equal. Next is the scalene triangle, in which no side is equal to or parallel to other side. Fine. This is the right angle triangle you are all well familiar with, in which one angle is equal to 90 degrees and the other two angles can be varied. Then this is the similar triangles, means there are two triangles in which uh, some sides are similar. Okay, using similarity of triangle, we can find the ratio of the two triangles. This is the smaller triangle and one is the larger triangle. You can see base of both the triangles are parallel. Similarly, these two inclined sides, if we talk about those two sides, they are parallel to one another, as well as some of the portion is also intersecting the other. Okay, so these two triangles are known as the similar triangles. Geometrically, this angle and this angle, these angles will be equal. Similarly, the smaller angle, this one made with the base and inclined side, will be equal to this one angle. Okay, and this angle is common for both the triangles. These are some of the properties of different triangles. This is very important slide. You should learn. You should clear the concept. This is isosceles right triangle. Okay, combination of two triangles we just discussed in the last slide. This is the right triangle in which one angle is 90 degrees and other two angles are not equal to 90 degrees. And it is also isosceles triangle, which means two sides are having equal angle, which means 45 degrees. So this one is the particular isosceles right triangle. These ratios, you should remember all these ratios of triangles. Perpendicular is 1, base is 1, and hypotenuse will be automatically equal to square root of 2. Now this is the 30, 60, 90 right triangle. What does it mean? One angle is 30 degrees, one angle is 60 degrees, and third angle is 90 degrees. So this ratio will be fixed. Hypotenuse will always be equal to two parts in this particular case. If you take it as base, it will be half of the hypotenuse, and if you take this perpendicular, it will be under root 3 times of the of the base. This rule is known as 3-4-5 right triangle. This rule is used to draw perpendicular in the fields. In this, the three sides of the triangle will be fixed and equal to 345 ratio. Okay, this is the ratio of the sides 345. It can be 9, 16, and 25 as well. Okay, if we want to draw a perpendicular in the field, we should adjust the triangle so that hypotenuse will be equal to 5, base will be equal to 4, and perpendicular will be equal to 3. Trigonometry. Okay, these are the identities you are already well familiar with. Sine is equal to perpendicular over hypotenuse, cos is equal to base over hypotenuse, and tan is equal to perpendicular over base. Trigonometric identities, law of sine, law of cosine, and Heron's formula. Please remind all three trigonometric laws. Okay, if it is feasible to you, you must not only remember these formula, but should also solve some of the examples related to all these three laws so that the concept should be clear. Next is the how to find the width of river or a canal. This is the simplest example of a trigonometry, okay, in which perpendicular is calculated indirectly. This is the tree. It is a fixed object. First of all, at station A, by the help of telescope, we sight the tree, and then we set up our instrument station at point B after shifting from point A. Then again sight the same fixed object, and you will get the distance of the object. Circles. This is the basic geometry of the circle. You can see in the figure. You can see the various components as diameter, radius. Two tangents have been drawn. This hashed solid portion is segment, and this hashed portion in the conical form it is a sector. Inscribed angle, the chord, central angle. Okay, all these terms are already have been discussed in FSC mathematics book. Area of the sector and area of the segment. This is the formula how to use the area of sector. It is equal to pi r square theta over 360 degrees, and area of the segment is equal to pi r square theta divided by 360 degrees minus half of r square into sine theta. Okay, I'm not going into the derivation of the area of the sector and the area of the segment. If you want to see the derivation, you can find it at internet using different approaches. Next is the rectangular coordinates. Both length and direction of the lines are the point of concern to a surveyor. By considering xy plane, the positive y direction represents north and positive x direction shows east. Coordinate pairs are denoted as northeast rather than xy and refer to the location by northing and easting. A point located 100 units north and 200 units east of the origin would be denoted as 100n into 200e in the form of northing and easting. A surveyor sometimes has to compute information not shown on the plans. For example, the distance from known reference points to key points such as building corners or underground utilities. In such situation, distance is computed using rectangular coordinates called inversing the distance. The formula for inversing the distance is distance of the point to point 1 to 2. Distance is calculated as easting at point 2 minus easting at point 1 into whole square plus northing of point 2 minus northing of point 1 whole square and whole under root. So this is the simplest distance calculation formula. Scaling. You have already covered the scaling portion in the drawing in detail. It is not possible to represent the actual length of an object on a drawing, so it is required to reduce the object in order to accommodate it on the drawing in some feasible proportion. The ratio by which the actual length of the object is reduced is known as the scale. Okay, in drawing, for example, in drawing sheets, what did you do? You just draw the dimensions of a bigger object on a drawing sheet on a smaller scale. Okay, so in some proportion you have reduced the size of the objects so that it can be fit into the drawing sheet. So this is the process that we are calling in this slide as scale or the scaling. Full size scale showing actual size of the object. Reducing scale is the one if the actual length of the object is reduced for accommodation that we normally do in our uh, drawing a sheet in the lab. Enlarging scale if the actual length of the object is enlarged to bring out to the details more clearly, then it is known as enlarging scale. Next is the representative fraction. The ratio of the distance on the drawing to the corresponding actual length of the object is known as representative fraction. Both the dimensions must be in the same units. So talking about the scale and representative fraction, these are some of the common examples of the scale and representative fraction that we use in the civil engineering projects. In case of building plan and elevation site plan, 1 centimeter is normally kept equal to 1 meter or 10 meters. In this case, representative fraction will be equal to 1 into 100. Remember, representative fraction means both the units are in the both the quantities are in the same units. 1 into 100 means 1 centimeter ratio 100 centimeter, or 1 centimeter equal to 1 meter, the same thing. 1 centimeter is equal to 10 meters can also be written as 1 over 1000 in centimeters. This is the representative fraction. Okay. Root surveying, 1 centimeter equal to 100 meters. Similarly, for reservoir, the town planning, longitudinal section, horizontal scale, vertical scale, cross section, both horizontal and vertical scales are equal. Location survey, land survey, geographical survey, cadastral survey. Okay, these are the examples in which the different scale is selected and different representative fraction can also be observed. Now, errors in measurements. Measurement process is the combination of human skill and mechanical equipment limitation. Experience and good physical conditions improve results accuracy. Measurements are never exact or perfect, no matter how carefully made. They always contain some sort of errors. An error is the difference between a measured value and a true value of a same quantity. Okay. Mathematically, it can be written as E is equal to x minus x bar, where E is equal to error in a measurement, x is measured value, x bar is equal to true value. No measurement is exact. Every measurement contains some error. True value of a measurement is never known. For example, if the distance is measured by a scale which can only measure up to 1/100th of a meter, measurements cannot be taken into millimeters. So one can say that the accuracy of measurement depends on the deviation size, reliability of the equipment, or you can say least count, and human limitations. Mistakes. There are observers blunders and are usually caused by the misunderstanding the problem, carelessness, fatigue, missed communication, or poor judgment. Examples include transposition of numbers such as recording 69.24 instead of the correct 96.24, or recording a measured distance as 589.74 instead of 859.74. Okay, you can see just by interchanging a digit unintentionally, the blunders or mistakes can be occurred. These types of large mistakes can only be detected by careful and systematic checking of all work and eliminated by repeating some or all of the measurements. Now, sources of errors and types of errors. First of all, natural errors. These errors are caused by variations in wind, temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, atmospheric refraction, gravity, and magnetic declination. A common example is steel tape whose length varies with the change in temperature. Instrumental errors results from any imperfection in the manufacturing or adjustment of instruments and from the movement of individual in parts. For example, applying weight to the weighing balance beyond its permissible limits can cause generation of serious errors. These types of errors can be eliminated by calibrating the equipment on the regular basis. Sources of errors. Personal errors arise from limitation of human senses of sight and touch. As an example, if the target is the top of ranging rod that is being held slightly out of the plumb. Okay, this is the example of personal error. Systematic errors, also known as biases, result from factors that comprise the measuring system and include the environment, instrument, and observer. If the system conditions remain constant, the systematic errors also remain constant. Example of a constant systematic error is the use of 100 feet steel tape that has been calibrated and found to be zero point 0.0 feet too long. It introduces a zero point 0.0 feet error each time it is used, but applying a correction error can be eliminated. Systematic errors tend to accumulate, therefore sometimes known as cumulative errors. Random errors. Random errors are those that remain in measured values after mistakes and systematic errors have been eliminated. They are caused by factors beyond the control of the observer, obey the laws of probability, and are sometimes known as accidental errors. They are present in all surveying observations. Reason behind this error always remains unknown. Discrepancy. It is the difference between two observed values of the same quantity. A small discrepancy indicates there are probably no mistakes and random errors are very small. Precision. It refers to the degree of refinement or consistency of a group of observations and is evaluated on the basis of discrepancy size. If multiple observations are made of the same quantity and small discrepancies result, this indicates high precision. Accuracy. It denotes the absolute nearness of observed quantities to their true values. The difference between precision and accuracy is illustrated best by the following figure. Just see this figure. There are three figures. Okay, this is the five dots are showing the sets of different observations. Okay, you are performing an experiment, and by performing these experiments, different readings in the form of results are taken. So these are the results or these are the readings. Okay, a set of five readings is shown here. Okay, there are also, you can see three different types of circles as well. Okay, the smallest circle it is indicating the true values or the values with uh, uh, maximum accuracy, or you can say maximum precision. Okay, these are the true values which lies in the central circle. Similarly, the middle circle and similarly the outer circle. All these values are in the outer circle, but the all the values are very close to each other. What does it mean? Okay, I discuss later. Now, moving towards the figure B, here you can see there is the first dot, second, third. Different dots are placing in different directions and in different subcircles. Okay, circles are changed and their positions are well away from each other. Now in the third figure, all the five readings are very close to each other as well as they are located in the smallest circle. Okay, smallest circle mean they are the true values. Okay, correct values or true values. And nearness of all the sets of observations is indicating these are the precise values. Precise means nearness to each other, and accuracy or trueness is the observed value is how much close to the true value this concept will be applied, and all the readings will be in the smallest circle. This is the explanation. In figure A, results are precise but not accurate. Okay, if these readings were in the smallest circle, then we can say that these are the accurate values. But these are not accurate values, but they are precise as they are very close to each other. Second figure, results are neither precise nor accurate, and in the third figure, results are both precise and accurate. These are the basic measurements in surveying. Horizontal distances will be calculated using tape, chain, tachometer, or the electronic digital meter. Vertical distances will be calculated using levels, different types of levels, tachometer. Horizontal angles will be measured using compasses and theodolite. Vertical angles will be calculated using theodolite, clinometer, and the total stations. Slope or gradient will be find out using levels and total stations, and latitudes and departures will be calculated by total stations. So all these values will be calculated using different set of equipment in surveying. This is all for today's lecture. Thank you very much.